Hey YouTube, RicoKnows here. Going to talk to you guys about linebacker rooms across America. In this video, I'm doing it for free, so enjoy this one free video. I'm going to be talking about the MAC linebacker rooms. If you aren't aware, I'm breaking down every single position group before the college football season, and then that kind of helps me do my analysis on matchups, on covering the spreads, and advising all the MVPs throughout the season. Those are my paid members on Patreon and YouTube. Shout out to all of them. But okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to be talking about these linebacker rooms in here for a second, and these are all the teams. It's a scale from 1 to 10, and let me give you guys a point of reference, okay? If you're a group of 5 team and you have all conference caliber players, you're probably looking at like a 6. If you see anything above a 6, that means they're all conference and they have multiple years of starting. There's more depth. There's other good players. It's not just one guy. A number of things can play into that, the metrics, okay? There's a lot of things that I take into consideration. Now, what I do is I take my time. I evaluate every single player on every single roster, and it takes me probably, I don't know how many hours it takes. You guys see me on live stream when I do this. It takes me about 18 hours a day, and it takes me about a week. So let's go 7 days, right? I work 7 days a week. So 7 times 18, 85 hours to get through all the different names that I'm going through. Now, I will admit, there are some players I'm very familiar with, and I don't have to go watch their tape again. Like, I've watched them for 3 or 4 years. They're known commodities. They're all conference guys. I don't care that they transferred. I know they're the bee's knees. We're good. It's when there's a new player, maybe a JUCO signee, somebody who I didn't watch their huddle film coming out of a recruiting class, because I watch every huddle film of every recruiting class that I can, literally sit there and sift through those all off season, and I hit it hard in December, January, February, over and over and over to get a real familiarity of the rosters and who's coming in. But I really focus on the 2 deep for this stuff. So in this particular video, I'm going to be talking about the 2 deep in the linebacker rooms. And I'm going to maybe mention a transfer or a freshman if warranted, if it's valid. And we'll go through every single team. I'm going alphabetical. So if you're watching this video, you're trying to skip to the team I'm talking about or something, look to your right over here. This is the teams I'm talking about. And if you know the players or you recognize them, then we're good, okay? So we're going to start with Akron, and then we'll work our way down. It is a scale from 1 to 10. But 10 is like Texas and Alabama. You're not going to get a 10 in these rooms, no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing. Because the reality is you can be an all-conference guy in the MAC. If you end up at Georgia or Alabama or Texas, you are firmly on the bench. Now, I don't care if you're Red Murdoch and you led the country in tackles or second in the country in tackles, you are firmly on the bench, right? That's just the reality of the situation. So that's kind of how it works here. It's an assessment of talent, not an assessment of returning production, not an assessment of how many tackles does this team return, and you see all those stupid by the number things. This is actually me using the eyeball test, if you will. But just understand that I'm a very good evaluator of talent. This is what I do for a living. I evaluate talent, whether it be in the UFC between 2 fighters or in football between 2 teams. I'm just breaking down and analyzing individuals for what they are. All right, so that being said, let's talk about Akron. Akron's linebacker room. You see it right here, their weak side linebacker, their will linebacker, excuse me. Shimon Cooper, yes, he missed last year. This is a former transfer from Illinois, if I remember correctly, and he missed last year with an injury. But before that, he was a leader of this defense, or one of the leaders of this defense. Now, if you aren't aware, Akron took a huge hit in the transfer portal. They lost Antavius Fish. He was one of the leading tacklers. They lost McCoy, who was the leading tackler the last 2 years. They've lost a number of guys. Nunley came off the edge. He was a defensive end. He's gone. Like, they're all transferred, and they're all on other teams now. So this team is left with what they have. And I would imagine Shimon Cooper and Gage Summers are the leaders of this team, and they are leading things. So they're doing well there. But as far as the depth goes, Melvin Spriggs got a lot of playing time last year because of the injury to Cooper. So that's a rarity that they have somebody second string in the MAC that has played a significant amount of football. It's not that often. It just isn't. If you go and study this and you look at the depth charts, once you get past the starters, they do rotate, but most of these guys, if they finish a season with like 13 tackles, that's special teams tackles. It's about 6 special teams tackles, and maybe they got in some junk time in a blowout win or loss or in the bowl game at the end of the season, whatever it was. But that's kind of how that goes. That kid, Marcus Boswell, watch this tape. It's fine. It's okay. Nothing too noticeable here. But if you see the score here, Akron, 4.25 means they're slightly above average, slightly. I believe both of these gentlemen are like the 3rd team preseason MAC teams. You don't want to know the threshold to be on the all preseason MAC teams. It's almost as bad as the all conference USA, but it's not. But it's pretty close. They're just giving, hey, did you start last year? Man, you're on the preseason 3rd team. you're on the preseason 4th team. So it is what it is. Very average linebacker room. Nothing too exciting there. Next team, shout out to Ball State. That's who we're on now, Ball State. Getting a 4.5. And the reason I'm giving them a 4.5, and I've got notes in front of me if I wanted to go read them. I don't need to unless my memory fades me. But I know Joey Stemler a lot because last year, before the season started, I challenged myself. And I said, I'm going to identify a hidden gem on every single team. You can find this playlist on YouTube. It's there right now. If you go to the homepage, you click playlist for hidden gems, you can find it. And what I'm going to tell you is I made a video on Joey Stemler. And he wasn't a starter at the time. And I believed in him. And he went out and had a tremendous season. So I got that right. I feel really good about it. I'm like, yeah, this is one of these guys who I think he was the 4th leading tackler on the team. 2nd team all MAC. He was just great. He's a good player. So Joey Stemler in the middle. Alfred Shea is a transfer from UConn. But when he was at UConn, he was just a special teams guy. So now that he's in the starting lineup is a little bit concerning for me. Just a little bit. And I left the sniper position. That is a defensive back. So there's only 2 linebackers here. And the backups, not much to go with. Not much to play. Didn't rotate well. Like Caden Johnson didn't play much. Was rotational last year. No big deal. Okay. Next team, Bowling Green. Bowling Green gets a 6.25. That means it's a pretty elite linebacker room. If you look on the chart, it's tied for the 2nd best linebacker room in the MAC, which shouldn't be any surprise to anybody. Now, what's happening here, and I want to make sure everybody knows this, is let's start with a Mike linebacker here. Cephas Say Papaya, whatever. His father played in the NFL. I can't say names. I apologize. His father played in the NFL for like 8 years. That is a Ferris State transfer, but he's not on Bowling Green. He actually left Bowling Green. This is wrong. He's at Western Michigan right now. Okay, so that much I do know. The thing I'm going to tell you is this 3rd string. Oh, by the way, Donnie Stevens not at Bowling Green either. I think he's not on the roster. This 3rd string linebacker right here, Dorian Pringle. Dorian Pringle played at what was it? Maslin, something like that. The Tigers. They just went undefeated in one state a couple years ago. Dorian Pringle was so good on that team. Let me tell you guys how this works. I do something called high school film reviews on TikTok where I do a blind reaction to people's huddle tape. People pay me to go and look at a huddle tape. I'll do a blind reaction. It'll get people a bunch of views on their huddle. It'll help players get scholarships, help them get offers, all that stuff. And somebody said, hey, Rico, this kid doesn't need your help. He doesn't need an offer. You just need to go watch him. I said, well, you donate some money. I'll go watch him. So they donated the money. And I went and watched Dorian Pringle's huddle tape. And I was watching it, and the whole time I was saying, oh my God, the Big Ten missed. Like, he can play in the Big Ten. He's amazing. And then he gets to Bowling Green. They have amazing players last year. What a great season. And he never gets on the field, really. And here he is. Now he's going to be in the 2 deep. I think he's going to start this year. Listen to me. Our lads doesn't say it. Nowhere on the internet says it. I'm not an insider with any team or anything like that. I just assess talent for a living. Dorian Pringle can start at Bowling Green, and I think he's a hell of a player. I can't wait to see him playing football. I'm being dead serious. The other person that I all want to talk about here is this transfer, Gideon, middle name SB or ESPN? One of the two. I don't remember. Maybe it's SB. Gideon SB, he's a transfer from Dayton, an FCS All-American, every tackle in the world. This guy's on the preseason MAC teams already. He is the bee's knees. Okay, you want to know what's crazy? Is I went to go find his huddle tape. And this dude was a 2,000-yard rusher as a high school running back. 3-time county defensive player of the year. How do guys like this get ignored and missed, right? You go into the FCS, Division I talent, and you end the season with 23.5 tackles for loss. 10 is the good number, guys. 10 is the number we're looking for. Tackles for loss, TFLs. 10 means you're doing your thing. You're resetting the line of scrimmage. You're out there. You are a damn menace on defense. If you're getting 10 tackles for loss, this dude had 23, 21, something crazy like that. Over 20. I think it was 23.5, but I don't know. I'm just letting you know. This is a very good linebacker room. Shout out to Bowling Green, absolute studs, and I can't wait to see Dorian Pringle come to the starting lineup. You guys remember the offensive line podcast I put out just a couple weeks ago? A couple weeks ago, I did the offensive line podcast, and I told you there was going to be a true freshman starting at center for Troy. Go back and watch the video for Troy. It's in part 3 of the offensive line podcast. Yeah, he just got announced he's starting. Get at me. All right, Buffalo. By and large, the best linebacker room in the MAC, right? They're 7.25. It's a significant number bigger than everybody else. If you didn't know, last year, Sean Dolick led the country in tackles. And he also had more interceptions than Shedeur Sanders, okay? Or, excuse me, than Travis Hunter. He was phenomenal. He was everything you're looking for. Well, the nation's second leading tackler was also on Buffalo. And the nation's second leading tackler was Red Murdoch, which is pretty awesome. Now, we can talk about how does Buffalo get so many tackles at the linebacker position. And a lot of this has to do with the fact the way their scheme is built and the way their linebackers play, right? They play with their hair on fire. They get to the ball, 11 men to the ball, the whole thing. But it's really about filling alleys, keeping outside shoulders free, turning things back in, playing outside in. Like all these terminologies I'm using, they're all like kind of these methodologies of defense. And what you're doing is you're funneling it back to your linebacker who's going to make the play. And in this particular case, they have Red Murdoch, who everybody knows. Like Red Murdoch is the bee's knees when it comes to Buffalo. But listen to me. Deion Crawford is just as good. He's second team All-MAC. The difference with Deion Crawford is he gets after the quarterback. I believe he had 8.5 sacks last season, which is tremendous. And you just have to trust that with that 1-2 punch, it's a real problem. Now, I used to watch Deion Crawford. I've seen him in person one time. I went to Collins Hill versus Grayson game, and I watched him here in Georgia. 7A football. If you didn't know, Deion Crawford played high school football with Travis Hunter on the Collins Hill team. They won state. They ended up losing to a team from Washington at the end of the season. But that's another product from a great program, 7A Georgia football. And if you see a Georgia player all the way up in the MAC, they're probably balling out of control. And that's an example of one right there. So shout out to Buffalo. They have two tremendous starters. And then when it comes to the depth, well, they got a North Texas transfer coming in Connor Henderson. That's fine. It's a graduate transfer. It's just bodies, Savion Brown. They're just guys to get out there and get in the way. It's all good. It's nothing bad. They got ballers, though. Buffalo's got crazy, crazy starters. Speaking of having crazy starters, look at this, man. You guys can see the rating here. I gave Central Michigan, this is their overall score. Now, you can't see their offensive ratings unless you go watch the offensive podcast. I do that on purpose. Go watch the offensive podcast. But in this particular video, you're going to see that 6.25 is probably the highest position group of any team or any position at Central Michigan. Central Michigan has been getting crushed by me in my analysis. They really have. And what's going to be really important for Central Michigan is they have a new head coach. And he has no experience. No experience. I'm going to show you his name right here. His name escapes me. Matt Drinkall. So Matt Drinkall is the new head coach. Zero experience on the defensive side of the ball. So this is going to be really important that their defensive coordinator figures it out and they go out there and do this thing. And they start with Dakota Cochran. You see number 1 over there? The Will linebacker? Absolute monster. All conference caliber player. That's how you get that thing. But he's 6'2", 240. He's played 36 games. Now, when you hear linebackers played 36 games, sometimes you're going to hear these stats, and it'll say somebody played 30 games, 40 games, 50 games. Bro, it could be special teams. It could be the kickoff. None of that matters. What really matters is when you start seeing them starting games, right? And then you start seeing them actually get production out of those starts. So I want to see you get on the field, find the ball carrier, go make a tackle. That's important to me. And sometimes I struggle with that when I'm watching the tape because they'll tell me this guy played in the game, and I'll be looking, and I'll be watching him. And I don't just want to see when he makes the tackle. This is why I got to watch the film. I want to see what's he doing when the ball goes to the opposite side of the field. What are his reads? What's his hustle like? What's his effort? I want to know. And sometimes these players don't get a fair shake because they're not giving full effort or they're not in the rotation as often as you'd imagine. They're not alternating series. That's not a real thing. It is for defensive ends. It is for some of the bigger guys. But some of these linebackers, they're out there the whole damn game. I watched the linebacker. I was trying to keep tally marks on how many plays he has. And then I found a website, or I found the school participation snap count thing. And it said the guy played over 600 snaps. 600? And then the guy that's rotating in got 100 on the whole season. That's, 100 snaps on the whole season in 12 games? That's less than 10 plays a game. I don't think you can prove to me that you're really good. So Cochran's the beast, though. Cochran's the beast in here. Shout out to him. You'll see a very senior Latin group up front. I'm impressed with that. I say Cochran's the beast. He is for me. But Jordan Kitakowski is first team all conference as well. He's probably the best linebacker on the team as far as people are concerned. But you got to understand, I know these linebackers. Like Fernando Sanchez. I know him. I talked to his dad on Twitter. I went to his game. He played at Grayson. I went to that same game against Collins Hill, and I heard a guy named Fernando Sanchez making plays. Fernando Sanchez making tackles. I'm from Southern California, bro. If we meet somebody named Fernando Sanchez, he's a gardener. I'm being real. Like, I don't know how else to tell you. But this Fernando Sanchez is 6'3", 240 pounds, running around tackling everybody. So it's just one of those situations where when I become familiar with the players, and I've seen them for many, many years, I can tell you who's good and who's not. And I think they have a very strong starting three. I really do. They've gotten after it. Now, for me, Cochran sticks out on tape. He just does. He's just more fluid. He's more fluid. He's more athletic for me. I enjoy it. It is what it is. So those three right there. But what a great linebacker room for Central Michigan when they haven't had very impressive position groups throughout the entire assessment period of this offseason. Shout out to them. The next one's EMU. EMU linebackers. I'm going to pull up what I wrote about them because I don't want to get it wrong. Give me a second here. It'll come right up. Yeah, so here's what I wrote. Caden Bailey, this guy is also from Georgia, if you didn't know. And when you come from Georgia, I got so much respect for you, right? Because I watched Georgia high school football. Now, he played at Jefferson, same high school as Malachi Starks, Sammy Brown at Clemson. So this is one of those guys. Like, just, I want you to think of the caliber of players that are playing at these schools and what they can do at other schools. And then he finally gets an opportunity to be here. Now, coming out of high school, I think he went to Syracuse initially, and now he's transferring here. I think he could be a gem. He could be a gem. He missed all of last year with an injury, so he could get there. Now, the other thing they went and did, just in case he's not there, is they went and got Marco. And that Marco Paterno, dude, I couldn't find any tape on him because I don't have FCS games recorded. I have all the FBS games recorded. Shout out to YouTube TV. Shout out to ESPN Plus. If you don't know how to record games on the apps, please get your desktop set up, turn on your library on YouTube TV, and you can just record anything that's football oriented. Have about 12 terabytes of solid state hard drive space, and you'll be able to do it. Welcome to the show. That's what I do. But I want to tell you about this Marco guy. Freshman All-American at the FCS level. He played at Elon. I'm cool with it. It's just affordable depth, experience depth, more mature depth, and better than having a freshman out there, which is what they're doing. So that's cool. Zach started his first 3 games last year. He also got injured. The thing about Zach is he's a graduate. Dude, Zach's not a transfer. Zach's never redshirted. This guy has been injury prone since, we used to say you broke off since the duffel bag, which means you've been on a profile since the Army gave you your initial issue. Zach's got a problem, man. He's not healthy. And if he's not healthy, it's not going to work out for us. They got some other JUCO guys. They got some other dudes on the roster I like, but it is what it is. EMU, I trust the coaching staff and Crichton and them, but it doesn't look good right now. It's a 3.5. It's below average. By the way, average is 4. They're below average. For me, they're below average. If there's no injuries, they're ready to rock. If there's no injuries, they can be as high as like a 4.75. But who knows? Who knows if they're going to get through it with no injuries? Kent State, very surprising. You guys have seen Kent State scores. They've all been in the lower 1. And if you're a 1, you're probably the worst in all of America. And in this particular case, Kent State's not the worst in all of America. They have, I think I counted Samaje Cross in this. Let me double check that. Apologize. You guys can, we'll be here. You guys can see some sausage being made. Ooh, I have a lot of those. That's not cool. I want that one. There we go. So, yes, I put Samaje Cross in here. So he played 4 seasons. I'm jumping around a bit. I don't mean to do that. I usually mean to start at the will, but I wanted to talk about Cross for a second because he played 4 seasons at Lafayette, which is an FCF school. He had 40 tackles last year. This is more like a safety, but I put it down as a linebacker. I think this is a good thing because they weren't going to have any depth at this position group if they didn't get a transfer to come in. They cannot start Martell Buchanan played 4 games and redshirted. That's not a real thing. You can't go into the season with that, okay? So Mason Woods, that's a Towson transfer. A little short. That's how he got to Towson, another FCS guy. But he was was it Mid-Atlantic? Or are they saying he's going to be all MAC? I don't remember. I think he's all MAC. I think that he's all MAC. He was all MAC last year. Yeah, I think that's right. Guys, I forget. That happens to me sometimes. I think he was all MAC second team or third team. That's on me. And then Williams, number 10 over there, that's a Bowling Green transfer. Okay, Bowling Green transfer, preseason, fourth team. I know that on Athlon. So, all in all, it's not a terrible room. For the first time in a long time, the Kent State linebacker room is not terrible. And they're doing this with an interim coach. They don't even have a coach. Mark Carney's an interim coach. And they got a decent linebacker room. Believe that. Shout out to Kent State. I don't know if they're going to win any games. I haven't looked at schedules yet. I don't look at schedules until after I'm done evaluating the secondary. That's a whole nother thing. Miami of Ohio, we got a 6 here. Miami of Ohio, you see this. They have 3 linebackers that are worth talking about. Let me go pull them up for you guys. You guys know the deal. This is a team that is a defending defending MAC champion a couple years ago, and they've been out there, them in Ohio, right? They've been having this thing where they're a resurgence, if you will. And I've wrote this multiple times on Twitter. I said, hey, if Miami of Ohio has a decent season this year, like if they really do, then Chuck Martin needs a raise. That's the head coach. There's just no way I think this team is going to be very good. It's hard for me to get there. Now, I could have sworn Adam Trick's supposed to be here. What am I looking at? Adam Trick. Did I do Edge? Adam Trick? Adam Trick should have been the other way around. Adam Trick's very good. And then by Joby, those are edge rushers. I might have put them in the wrong spot. Corbin Hondrew. Oh, hopefully you're watching this at 1.5 speed. Shout out to the MVPs. Second team All-MAC preseason. Corbin Hondrew, number 12. He's a redshirt senior. Been doing this for a little while. Defensive skill player of the year for the team. Dude's a beast. Malcolm McCann. Malcolm McCann is a Brookwood product. Shout out to Georgia again. Hasn't played a lot of football. It is what it is. What's impressive about him is he's beating out Jackson over here. And Jackson, turns out he can't play football. Jackson's a transfer from Ohio State. And I don't mean no shade to him, but if you're transferring in from Ohio State, you're 6'4", 232 pounds, and you can't beat out a guy who hasn't played a whole lot of football. He hasn't. He played in 11 games with only 14 tackles last year. Malcolm is the future on this thing, and now you're just backing him up. So it is what it is. And then Oscar McWood, 8 starts last year, 51 tackles, very quality player. I write notes on people, and I put quality MAC starter. So that's pretty good. And then we had a special teams player in Eli Koppes over here. So yeah, very good linebacker room. Impressed. Young talent here in the middle. Let's go get it. Shout out to Miami of Ohio. Northern Illinois. Man, and shout out to Coach Hammock, Thomas Hammock. He follows me on Twitter. He writes to me often, and he says things like, hey, Rico, you got it wrong or you got it right. And I feel terrible, man. I feel terrible saying negative things about his team. But what I want to say is he has one really good edge rusher in Roy Williams, and it sticks out. He's an NFL caliber edge rusher. But when I tell you they did not address their linebacker room the way they should have, I mean it. Now, if they go out there and they do something real, bro, like, I need you guys to understand, if they win a bunch of games and their linebackers are playing dynamite, then I'll rethink my strat. I'll rethink whatever I'm doing. But I highly doubt it. So when you see Danny Cronin over here, the weak side linebacker, that is a transfer from Dartmouth. Now, I've seen transfers from Dartmouth. Now, he did 5 years in the Ivy League and all this. I have seen transfers from Dartmouth come to the FBS level and not contribute the way they envisioned. And that's because when people tell you they're an all Ivy League player, that means nothing. Being all Ivy League there's 8 teams, bro. You're going to be you're one of the smart kids who's good. You're one of the good kids on a smart team in a smart school. It's not the same as being all conference in another FCS program. So I think this will be a miracle if NIU has a good linebacker room. I don't know how else to say it. I don't. Gasaway was a backup in the rotation, no big deal. Erweiler's in a North Dakota State North Dakota transfer. Not North Dakota State, just North Dakota. But he's been here for 3 years. He's just been a special teams guy. That's a special teams guy. Maybe they trust him because they know him for the last 3 years. That's possible. Right? Maybe that's why they're cool with it. That's why coach is like, yo, Rico, I'm rocking with Quinn. All right, if you're rocking with Quinn, that's fine. And then the guy behind Quinn, the Mark Pretro dude, that's I think a Fordham transfer, SCS transfer of some sort. It doesn't work for me, man. Could have addressed it, did something, but nah, doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Ohio Bobcats, speaking of doesn't look good, you see the Ohio, I gave them a rating of 1.5. Now, some people might just say, hey, Rico, these are Ohio linebackers. Like, you trust it. They're not even transfers. They didn't go grab transfers. What's going to happen here is there's going to be freshmen in the 2 deep. Okay? That's number one. There's going to be freshmen in the 2 deep. What happens next is you have to know the team and know the players before you make an assessment like this. Like, you might look at this and go, well, they're juniors. They've been in the program for 3 years. They've been at Ohio for 3 years, 4 years at the redshirt juniors. They know what they're doing. These are guys. We got a graduate transfer up there in Tank Pearson. Oh, that's a corner. My bad. But no, we got these guys, Michael Molnar and Jack Fries. You guys, if Albin doesn't leave, their head coach doesn't leave to Charlotte, these guys would still be third string and potentially would have been designated student athletes. Potentially not even on the team anymore. And I say that because a number of linebackers, 3 of them transferred to Charlotte with coach, and they're all better than these guys. These are, I don't want to say anything negative about young men out there playing college football, but in comparison to their peers, they got their work cut out. This isn't going to go well. Any of you guys ever had kids in sports and you went to the game and you looked at the other team and said, what the fuck are they eating? What are we doing? My daughter, she's a phenomenal volleyball player, and I pay for her to be on these these AAU All-American teams and this national volleyball team and all this stuff. My daughter's 5'3", bro. She got a vertical. She's an outside hitter. There's videos of her all over my TikTok. She's smashing shit. She's doing everything right. She's 14 years old. She's 5'3". She should be a libero in the back row. She should be playing defense. But she says, Dad, I want to be an outside hitter because I want to get kills and spike and all that. I said, go do what you do, girl. And she's her team captain. She's the best player. She's the team captain. And we went to nationals. And we got on the court. And everybody was over 6 feet tall at nationals. And now she plays down in Florida. I live in South Carolina. My daughter plays volleyball down in Florida. And so I'm down in Orlando. I'm driving 7 hours every weekend to go watch her play and ball. And I'm there recording everything. And she's crushing it. She's gangster. But there's limitations to your greatness. Like, you could be great. You could be an amazing walk-on. It's not going to work out for you 90% of the time. And these matches, man. We flew to Chicago, Dallas, and just played match after match after match against just some of the most impressive physical specimens. And they'll be like, well, she's going to Texas. Well, she's going here. Well, she's going here. Well, she's going here. And I'm just going, oh, shit. Where's my kid going? Well, I hope she's going to West Florida. I hope she's getting to a Division III school in Nebraska. I hope somebody's interested in her. But these guys, that's how it is with these linebackers. They're not remotely close to being like every single team here. They couldn't start for any other team in the MAC. The linebackers at Ohio couldn't start for any other team in the MAC. I'm letting you know. Toledo, a little disappointed in the linebacker room. Not what we were looking for, honestly. But I think they're just trusting their pedigree. They're trusting that they're developing players. And if you want to believe in Toledo like that, then you have to as well. I think if you saw the sports books that they're on Toledo as a favorite in the MAC, and I was hoping I was creeping up on them because as we're doing these percentages and we're getting towards the end here, you can see the team total. Toledo's in the lead right now. Now, they didn't have a good linebacker room. It's just an average linebacker room. But you're hoping some things come of this, right? Because they didn't really, did they want to go into the season with Ollison as the starter at will? They bring in Hudson Miller. He's a transfer from Purdue. But if he can't beat him out, then we're stuck with Ollison, and it's like there's nothing special there. There isn't. They brought in Langston Long. This is a guy who used to play strong safety in 2023 when his career started at Virginia. Then he missed a year. Then he went to USF. And let me say something about that. He went to South Florida. Couldn't get on the field at South Florida. There's no shame in not being able to play in the South Florida linebacker room. The South Florida linebacker room is the second best in all of Group of 5, behind ODU. I have ODU number 1, South Florida number 2 in my assessment. And the ratings I gave those teams are 8s. So he couldn't start there, but he can come over here and start here. Langston Long, a lot of experienced player. Maybe the coaches know him better here, and they trust him, and they know he's going to go out there and be healthy and go be the best version of himself. But for me, it just feels like they tried to address the linebacker room. They did. They brought in 3 transfers in the linebacker room. They did. And you can see Kayvon Sherman over there. He's a JUCO transfer. He hasn't been in the program long. Played in like 3 games last year. Yeah, so this room is the least prepared to go out there and be the MAC champion that I anticipate Toledo is going to be. Seriously. And then the last team. Western Michigan. I have been pulling for Western Michigan. I've been pulling for them. Their offensive weapons intrigue me. The approach they have intrigues me, all this stuff. But, man, have we just been looking terrible. First, it was the defensive tackles. Didn't quite measure up to the rest of the conference. It was gross. They had nothing up front that impressed me. And then the edge rushers came out. They looked a little better. I was impressed. And then we get to the linebackers. And it's a 2.75. And maybe we could change it if things go right. I want to talk about Dominic Moon in the middle. Now, let me say that. Remember that guy I told you? The transfer from Ferris State? I can't pronounce his name. Yeah, he is here. So he's not on the list here, but he is at the school. And I'd imagine he's going to get a shot to be in the starting lineup and to play because Eubank's not on the team anymore. At least he's not on the roster. Not that I remember. So Hudson Eubank's not on the team. Not that I can see. But this Dominic Moon guy, that's a transfer from Purdue. He spent 2 seasons at Purdue. You know, I went back and watched his high school stuff. Man, he was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. He was Mr. Football for Indiana. Mr. Football as a linebacker in Indiana 2 years ago, or whatever it was, however long ago it was. It was maybe 3 years ago now. So now that he's in the starting lineup, that's pretty impressive. But all in all, this is a team that was decimated by the transfer portal. They would have some tremendous defenders right now. They would be a favorite amongst favorites if they still kept all their pieces together, but it didn't happen, right? People just rated them, took what they needed from them, and they're now all on other rosters and doing great things. And I'm talking about Power 4 rosters. So we're left with what we got. So that's the linebacker rooms in the MAC. I hope you learned something about them. Remember, every single matchup, every single game during the season, I do about a 30-minute assessment between the two teams. I talk to you about all the prop bets, the overs, the unders, what's going to hit, what's not, who's going to cover the spread. I do the entire analysis for every single weekday game. There's literally 2 to 3 a night, Tuesday through Friday. I do all of those. And then on Saturdays, we break down all 60 games on the slate. Please, be an MVP. It'll change your life. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. I'll see you guys on Patreon. Peace.